Do you think giving Draven a passive that requires a kill and not takedown, like most other abilities, is a bad thing? What were the thoughts of hard-coding PYKE'S execute to still count towards Draven kill count passive? How do you balance Draven win rate? That's a lot of questions, Rex. So PYKE'S is balanced around giving people a kill because Pyke is a support who steals kills, and that's a bad thing. If you ever played with a Lux, you know what I'm talking about. If you ever play with support Lux and she takes all your kills and then you're depressed because she has 20 kills and you have 2, and then she goes and one-shots people, like, that's not like bad, like we can't have it in the game, but like Pyke, very specifically, is explicitly designed to kill everybody in the enemy team, right? His ultimate is a resetting like 5-kill ult, right? And so if you had support who every single game was just repeatedly taking all the kills, that's actually really, really bad for your team. And so we made Pyke ult to give the kills to his allies to make it so that you weren't trolling your teammates by locking Pyke the pentakilling support at times. The pentakilling support assassin, right? So that's why Pyke shares the gold. It's to solve that specific problem. And if he's sharing the gold, he's also sharing kill credit, which is why it works with Draven. And the reason Draven needs the kill and not the takedown is because he's Draven. Draven is all about himself. Generally, it's bad to do mechanics like that because it like kind of hurts team play. But in Draven's case, we think it's okay that every once in a while there's a character who's just like, this game is about me. The spotlight's on me. It's on me to get these kills. And does that create tension and frustration? Oh, of course. I mean, you've all had the Draven player who AFKs after you take a kill from him. It definitely creates some negative outcomes for the game, but it's like overall, it's just like that's Draven. Thematically, Draven is the guy who's all about himself. And so it made a lot of sense to just be like, in this one case, this is all about you. So that's that. And how do you balance Draven win rate and ban rate? The answer is he needs to be balanced around ban rate. Draven's a character who, end of day, probably tends not to be overpowered purely from a win rate perspective. When Draven's overpowered, it's usually because he's Giga banned. The reason he's Giga banned is usually because players are feeling at that point that if they run into Draven main, it's an auto loss. Draven's this character where it's like, if you main him, you can just do some insanely absurd things on him. And so Draven's probably a character that, like Zed, needs to be balanced around ban rate. The difference between Draven and Zed is that Draven's ban rate is about challenger players, whereas Zed's ban rate is about silver players. So Zed will often have to be weaker than he could be because we have to tune him for frustration and silver. Draven will often have to be weaker than maybe he could be because we have to tune him around how it feels to play against a Draven main and challenger play. And so yeah, TLDR is like, we tend to need to balance Draven around ban rate in high MMR. And right now, personal take is his ban rate is like definitely going up in high MMR, so I could definitely see a world where he gets nerfed in the future because it's getting banned.